CEO of the Universal Women's Network, Women of Inspiration Awards, and this is the Woman of Inspiration podcast, where we speak with women of inspiration who lead, inspire, and motivate. They inspire others to dream big. And today with me is a very special guest. Of course, we're coming off our huge, actually, I don't even think we're coming off of that adrenaline high, but our 2020 Woman of Inspiration Awards just happened only less than a couple weeks ago. Actually, Saturday, it will be 2 weeks. Seems like yesterday. And Blaise, you were awarded our Woman of Inspiration 2020 Influence Award. So what a great title. You are a powerhouse. You have so much energy. Your energy is contagious. Your support for other women, it blows the socks off everybody that has seen you in action. So it gives me such great pleasure to be sitting here today. And we had some great dance moves in the green room, but I really would love to share with our listeners your story. And before we do, I just want to introduce, for those of you that are listening on the podcast today or watching on the video here, I'm just going to do a little bit of an intro, Blaise. So just a couple more minutes. Blaise Hunter is the author, award-winning advocate, international speaker, fertility expert, and the founder of the Heroine Movement. You are the CEO, fertility expert, heroine for Blaise Their Trail Inc. And you tackle the realities and issues women face when it comes to worth and particularly into motherhood and infertility, which, that has actually, I've seen that actually come up more and more, where women are getting braver to talk about those issues. So I'd love you to share your story and your experiences with our listeners today. From one woman into another, you hear the cry, heroine, brace your flaws and own your awesomeness. And I love how we have to embrace our flaws, because our flaws become our best assets. And you are such a champion for that, Blaise. So Blaise, it's a pleasure to welcome you to the Woman of Inspiration podcast. Let's dive in. Share with us, did you always know that this was your calling? If you could have thought back, when you're 12, Blaise,
No,
did you ever in a million years think that you'd be sitting here having an interview and just being interviewed as a 2020 Woman of Inspiration influencer?
not at all. I was a girl that just struggled with loving yourself. And I didn't know it at the time because, you often don't reflect until you have to. So you just go through life adapting and putting on mask after mask to survive. So I never felt worthy. So I applied another mask and became an overachiever, because as long as I was worthy in doing what I was doing, then I never had to address how I was worthy in my being. And so, yes, from the outside, I got an Oscar award performance for the girl that was probably looking like she had it all together, looking like she had confidence, but inside, I was just this little girl, wounded and didn't take care of herself. And over time, I went through some traumas and tragedies, and then I applied the mask over mask to just survive again. And part of that journey was my dad actually battled depression, and he faked his own death when I was 20. And it broke me. And I didn't know how to deal with that trauma. He came back into our lives and we never talked about it again. So it was just something I had to survive and put a mask on and go forward. And then I developed an autoimmune disease later, a couple years later, and been struggling to breathe and live and fight for my life every day. And I went to a holistic therapist one day 6 years ago, and I sat on her table and she just made an observation about me that was the pinnacle moment of my life to change everything. So I was the girl that masked everything up and powered through, and I came broken and vulnerable to this lady. And she just said, "Hey, you have an autoimmune disease where your body attacks itself." And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, do you think there's a link with that and the fact that you attack yourself every day with your thoughts and that you hate yourself?" And I just sat there being like, wow, no one's ever put those two and two together before. So it was just like this defining moment where I made a decision to stop hating myself and starve the disease by loving myself and ending all of those masks and just strip it away and be me and step into that, flaws and all. So that's kind of the basis of what happened 6 years ago to lead me up into Blaise the Trail Inc. and my work, was because I just decided to stop the perfection race and just be vulnerable and real and own it.
Mm. You make it sound so easy, Blaise.
It's not, no.
Like you just wake up one day and all of a sudden, I love myself. And it's been years
Yeah.
and years of, I don't think I'm worthy. And everybody's better than me and I have nothing to offer, or you don't value exactly the biggest contribution that you're making in the world. So what were some of those steps that you took? Like, that doctor's appointment was very significant. So I hope that what's the name of your doctor? I hope she's listening.
She's a body talk practitioner. She actually does muscle testing and she listens to your body to say, what is it saying? And so I have lung problems. So she's like, lungs are grief. Do you have grief? And I'm like, well, yeah, I never processed my dad leaving me. Right. And so she's amazing. Lauren Sugar, body talk, go to her. She's brilliant. She's just been my mentor for 6 years and has changed my life, where I now get in tune with my body, my mind, and my soul and listen, because it's talking to you all day long. And your back pain isn't just back pain. It's telling you something, right? Your voice problems are voice problems. They're for something else deeper than that. Right. So I really addressed root causes rather than treating the symptom. And no, it wasn't easy. It's still not easy, but I made the decision that I don't want to die. So I had to do the tough work and dig deep below the surface and let it out, because once you let it out, it's freeing. I released the shackles that were holding me back, right? And now I'm all in. And it's been an incredible journey just to say, yeah, that first step, you know what, literally the first step was in the mirror every day, I would put Post-it notes and say, I am enough and I am beautiful, because I never thought that. And we always say, oh yeah, I don't have a self-confidence problem, but like really pay attention to those inner thoughts that are silent when you're looking in the mirror, when you're putting on a bathing suit, when you're getting naked, and what are those little thoughts coming at you? When you want to apply for a job, when you want to put yourself out there and you're like, no, not me, I'm not good enough, right? Like those are actually cutting your soul. So I stopped the cutting process of cutting my heart, that little child within, and I just started injecting love. So I literally had to put Post-it notes around the house and have these reminders that I am enough and I am worthy and I am beautiful and I have a purpose. And so like, that is like my biggest tip is like, yes, you don't go from 0 to 100 and I love myself, but I make a conscious decision when that thought comes in. I say, no, I am enough. That is toxic, right?
I love sticky notes. 3M, thank you for making sticky notes. I have parties. I put them everywhere. I have them cover the whole entire wall. It's my vision board. That's how I do strategy sessions. And you know what? You speak about something really important. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's baby steps. But if you took the action to do that, and those sticky notes, they're so powerful. If you come over to my kitchen and if you open up this one kitchen door, I have this sticky on there and I have like the number 8 there. And it's been in there since I moved into my house for abundance. Because I never want to feel that I'm not going to have enough. I always want to open up that door every single day, go for, the salt. I don't do a lot of salt, but the pepper. And I always see it every single morning. Abundance, right? So every single day, these little things that we do to ourselves that build us up, even though we don't realize it, they're reconfirming where our intentions are. So that's so powerful. I think that's really great. I love how you're sharing that, because I think there's listeners watching right now. There are viewers that are watching right now, and they can relate to that in this very moment, especially coming out of a pandemic.
For
And
sure.
it's tested us all to the core. And I also want to touch base with the confidence piece. I know that when you had the opportunity to interview me, we dove a little bit into that about the confidence and
Mhm.
the women supporting women, and I think it all is very interesting. The women of inspiration leaders, right, are very supportive of one another. And I had said it comes from that confidence. But you and I had a conversation about, hey, Monica, I wasn't always like that. So maybe let's talk about that.
Yeah, that was another piece of self-confidence because you dip into different avenues of low self-esteem. So sometimes you're like very self-loathing and I'm not good enough, and then sometimes you can take the position where I'm going to be critical of everybody else because I don't feel enough. And sometimes you can be just one or the other. I definitely dipped into both, and I'm very competitive and driven. So that bled into being very critical of other women and being like, no, I must crush you because I don't feel good, right? Because I feel insecure in my work. So I must make sure that I don't give you any praise or lift you up. And it really didn't become evident to me personally until I took that step back and was like, why am I being so critical? Like, are they a competition to me, or is it just because I don't feel validated in me? And so I always continue to challenge myself, and it doesn't go away. I'm still competitive. We joke, I'm Monica from Friends. Like, I am that girl, right? It's just in me. But I've had to like do that little check system inside when I want to be like, oh, I can't believe she got that interview, and be like, no, congrats. We all have a journey. Mine's different than yours. There is a full sea and room for all of us to grow and flourish as women. And it's way more powerful to support than it is for me to crush you down.
Mm.
So I have to be that little check within me every day. And every day I get it because, yes, it can look like everybody's in your competition pool, but they're not. They're not. And we all have a journey. And like, even like podcasting, like people will say, oh, my podcast is hit number 10 in Canada. And I'm like, yes, good job. Because that is not my journey to compete, right? My journey is what I'm doing with it. And I'm going to stay in my lane and stop trying to crush everybody, right? So it's a huge thing to encourage women, because I think we are bred in society to be competitive with one another and breed that. And it's like, no, I'm trying to shift it. Like with you and your network, we're shifting that focus and lifting rather than pushing, right?
Mm. And I think that's really important. I mean, if we go back to exactly, want and the push for women to, get into leadership, senior leadership roles. Well, guess what? There's usually only one CEO. There's usually only limited spots at the C-suite, right? And then it goes down, and there might be more levels the further on you go, but there's only so many seats. And so, there is competition for that, but if
Yeah.
we're all going to succeed, we have to all encourage each other to learn from our experiences, pass our knowledge forward, and there's lots for everybody. And that's how we thrive. And I'm so incredibly in awe of what we've created with the Woman of Inspiration, the awards, and in 2020, beyond where a year where we're set back because of, let's talk about, the challenges and barriers. Then all of a sudden school kids are home, work from home is happening. It's like everybody's working like 20 hours, well, not 20 hours, but 7 days a week, right? And meal
Yeah.
sharing and homeschooling and all that sort of stuff. And then job losses, transformation, health and wellness, like struggles with the uncertainty and stuff. How did you
Yeah.
get through all of that, Blaise? How have you been able to get through all of this chaos and still be such a bright, shining champion and full of inspiration that you are? Like, how are you managing through this?
I think it's just always going back to owning it, owning the mess, owning the good stuff, owning the bad stuff, and just feeling it. Because a lot of times we want to, like women, we want to clean up the mess, right? And so we want to mask that up and clean it up. And it's like we have to actually sit in it and acknowledge this is crappy. This is hard. And I'm not going to say, oh, but you know what? I'm a go-getter and I always conquer it. Yes, but I'm going to give myself that space to say, this sucks. I'm going to cry it out. I'm going to cry and just yell and be frustrated. But then I let that out and I regroup and I take on the day. And I know that we can always turn it around. And that's my whole life, because I was stuck in that depression. I was stuck in the hardships. And I always said, like, why is this coming against me? Why me? Why all these troubles? No one else seems to have this kind of hardship. But you get stuck in that. So you have to allow yourself to feel it, but turn it. Turn it around, because anything that is your pain is definitely your purpose, definitely your pearl, but you got to turn it. And I always go to the oyster, because the oyster constantly gets attacked by a parasite. It's not a grain of sand that comes in. It's actually a parasite coming to attack that oyster. But what does the oyster do? It doesn't go clam up and be like, no, I don't want any more troubles. It goes, come on, little sucker, I got ya. And he coats it. The oyster coats it with a special liquid, and he coats it so many times, it turns into a pearl. And I think that's a huge, great story to always have in your mind when you have a parasite coming at you, like COVID, like job loss, like miscarriages, like whatever's coming against you. It's your opportunity to turn it into something amazing. And it becomes your passion because it's personal, right? So always when something's coming against you, like COVID, I had to sit there and be like, okay, there's no events, there's no book signings, there's no tours, there's no conferences, I've got nothing. But I sat there and be like, okay, how do I turn it? And so that was like, you have to, instead of asking why me, you say, what can I do? So it's, you've got to change your thought process of like staying in that mess to like, I'm going to feel it, but how do I turn it?
And like-minded people flock together, because it's always about that glass half full, not half empty. And the adversity piece is the gift. You don't know it when you're in it, but then it's just using that platform and drawing on your challenges to get you through that next time, right? Like, I know that we've gone through a whole lot with COVID, but bring it on. What other challenge can we do? What are we going to do? What are we going to learn? How are we going to grow from this? You know, it's some really cool stuff that's really tested us to the core, but also has become probably something that strengthens our leadership. Do you agree?
Absolutely. It builds your resiliency. It builds your determination. Like, how bad do you want it? And like, yeah, do I wish that I never got sick and have to be like so ill and having 3 miscarriages and blows after blows? But then I sit here and I'm like, frick, I'm strong. Like, I have been through a lot and I'm still standing. And that in itself is inspiring. And that keeps me going, because I know that I have that will and that relentlessness to get to my destiny, to keep pursuing it, because I know that I can still weather it. Like, I'm here, right? So you flip that, you don't feel so weak anymore. You feel like, man, I'm a rock star, I am a warrior. And that's what my book is all about. Like, you turn it from being the person that's struggling in the story to your own hero. And that's what I want. Your life is never going to be perfect. You're going to get all these setbacks, but how do you become and rise up and be the hero?
I want to talk about what you've actually managed to do to give women a voice with fertility, right? I mean, that was pretty significant. It's a very personal journey. Normally, it's something that only until recently women have started to share. So maybe you can share with our audience today and our viewers exactly how that happened for you. Like, how did you actually take your experience, and what was that defining moment when you're like, no, I need to talk about this publicly because it's going to heal me, but also I think it can be helpful to other women?
Absolutely. It's very personal. And I feel like so many women feel the shame with that. We feel like we're to blame because it happened in our body. And so there's this really big shame factor then that plays into the silence of not sharing what we're going through or sharing the trauma physically and emotionally. And I'll back it up a little bit. I had one miscarriage, my very first one. And because I was dealing with the illness and already feeling a lack of purpose with that and self-confidence, and then having a miscarriage, it was like it was compounded. It was another portal for me to blame myself and to feel unworthy and rejected. And so I was like spiraling out of control and depression. And a really cool, amazing, defining moment in my life changed everything was when I was so low and struggling with that sadness and grief of losing my baby. I came across a post on Facebook of a woman healing minister coming to Edmonton. And I was in Bonnyville, so I was 3 hours away. And I just felt drawn to go see her. I didn't know her, but I thought I recognized the name. And I Googled her. Turns out I did have a connection. Her parents were ministers 30 years ago from the States who came and visited Saskatchewan, where I was when I was a kid. I was 10 years old, and they just left a lasting impact on me. So I remembered them. And this daughter, like the parents have passed on, but the daughter's taken over. She's from Texas. She's coming to Edmonton. And I'm like, for some reason, I just need to go see her. And I kind of laid it out as a prayer. And I said, God, if there's a sign that I'm not going to die and there's some hope for my life still, I need that sign. I don't care what it is, but I need a sign I'm not going to die. And this is just my life is trauma and sadness. And my mom drove me to this appointment, to this service, because I was too ill to drive. And I get there and I'm sitting down and the lady starts talking and she's preaching, and all of a sudden I get loud in my head. Like that competitiveness starts to come in and be like, I swear, God, I'm not going to leave here. I'll stay in this chair all night, but I want my sign. Like I'm not going to leave tonight until I get something that says that there's hope for me, right? And this is one of those things where like we all have that defining moment that happens in our life. And this was it, where she's talking on the other side of the room and she goes, hold on, I just need to stop the whole service. Someone is drawing on me so much, I can't even continue. And she walks over to me.
Goosebumps. Oh my goodness.
Like I've never met her. I don't know her. And she looks me straight in the eye and she's like, God hears your cry. He sees your pain. Your tears will end, joy will come, and you will write a book about it.
Phenomenal. The universe is drawn you to this place to have spiritual, higher level connection. Wow.
I was like, I think that was my sign.
Thank you.
I left there feeling injected with hope. And I think that's what's missing in this world is just some hope. So like I went through 2 more miscarriages after that experience, but I hung on to that moment where like there was a reason, there was something higher and bigger than me in that moment. And you have to cling to that in those dark times. And the incredible story and turn of events is after the second miscarriage, I was so low. After I'd had this great experience, I ended up going back on Facebook, finding a post about a mentorship program to write a book. I clicked on it. I applied with my thought, you know what? I think we should talk about infertility. I think we should talk about loss and, you know, body image and self-loathing and all these problems that women are going through. And I got accepted into this program. Unbeknownst to me, guess who runs the program and ultimately published my book? It was the daughter of the minister.
Wow.
Under a different name. So the granddaughter of the original people I had an impact with 25 years ago published my book. So it was supposed to happen, right? And that's kind of what led me to being very open, because I thought I've laid it all out. I've got nothing left to lose. And I think this is a real topic because I feel like I am struggling here and I cannot be the only one. So the moment I started just sharing a little tidbit of the grief and the trauma and the struggle I'm going through with losing a baby, getting that piece of paper from a doctor that's photocopied 1,000 times sideways and you have to do a walk of shame through the hospital with this stupid piece of paper. And that's all what my baby's life meant to the healthcare system. I just started talking about it. And then people started coming out of the woodwork, women and men, and my husband grieved, and there's nothing for men with mental health and infertility. So I just started to be loud about it and break the silence barrier, and women and men joined it, which led to me partnering with doctors and communities to birth Footprints Infertility and Pregnancy Loss Support Initiative, where I give out support bags on the front lines to people that have lost, to people going through infertility, that IVF hasn't worked for the third time. They get this beautiful package with a Footprints bracelet, a life certificate, because it was a life. They get mental health input. They get men pamphlets to help the men factor. They get a copy of my book. They get something that means, you know, some of empathy. It doesn't take the sting away, but it helps ease it with some comfort and love. And I also erected a memorial in Bonnyville, Alberta, a standing memorial to honor our babies' footprints. I made them count. So I turned a lot of grief and pain. And yes, it didn't bring back my 3 babies, but it birthed something really amazing. It birthed healing to men and women across the world. Now I send these support bags out worldwide. Like, people message me and they're in England, they're in the States, they're in Canada, they're everywhere, right? So yes, I've struggled, but I don't want to be like, oh, here I'm talking from my $1 million property and I've succeeded and I have no problems. Like, I'm still in the problem, but I'm facing it and I'm pivoting it and I'm turning it into my pearl.
I love it. I got goosebumps with all of your purposeful and your signs were so clear. But how many of us actually, Blaise, I mean, don't pick up those breadcrumbs? I call them breadcrumbs because there is a sign and there's trails, but we have to be open to it. And for the listeners, they're like, I'm looking for that sign. How would you define when you were looking for that? Did you know what you were looking for in those signs? How do you look for them every day?
I think, yes, it's picking up that, but it's like tuning into your frequency, because people are like, oh, that's never happened to me. But how many times in a day do you have an interaction with somebody that you have eye contact or made a smile or connect with a child or just have a moment, but then we let that moment pass and we don't actually harness. So yes, we want to have people like, what if that woman just said, you know, you have purpose, and I wanted to hear something angelic about myself and I left there and didn't harness it. I actually had to write the book. I actually had to face my problems. So it's encouraging people not to just keep hearing that you're worthy and hearing that you have purpose. It's how do I harness it? And it's putting that into action. And it's hard, and you're going to fall and you're going to stumble, but you got to fall down 7 times, stand up 8. It's such a will. And it's like, pay attention and just fine tune that frequency, because there are signs every day that you have a purpose, that you have something so unique that no one else has to offer this world. And let what our impact is going to be on this world be the deciding factor, be the measure of my worth, the measure of my beauty, not the number on my scale, not the size of my waist, not how many kids I have. What is the legacy that you want to leave behind? Because that is something that I wake up and stay true to, that I will not go, oh, it's how many followers I have on Facebook. That's not the measure of my success. It is how I impact. It's the footprint I leave on this world. And it's how I treat myself and how I treat others, right? So that is like my tip to people, is just tune in. Like, it's like a radio frequency, you know, when you're like 1 point off, it's kind of fuzzy and you just flip it and then it's like crystal clear, right? Tune into that frequency of all those little breadcrumbs and magnificent signs coming your way that you're on the right track and you have a purpose and something to offer and you're amazing.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I say, you know, you have to practice. Number one, you have to practice and you have to set your intentions for that. But all about the frequency, all about picking up the breadcrumbs, leading by example is really what speaks to me about you, Blaise, is that I've watched you through the awards process, through the nomination process, step up, champion for everybody, hold in a great space for them along the journey, make them feel worthy of themselves and really help them, because it's scary when you step out and say, yeah, I'm really proud about this. It's like
Mhm.
you're like vulnerable because you're accepting of the spotlight. And by championing and standing side by side somebody, you've also made it really easy for somebody to own the spotlight, because it could be pretty scary if you step in and go, yeah, I'm really proud of myself, right? I'm really
Yeah.
excited about this. And if you're not standing beside somebody championing for them, it makes it really scary for somebody to put themselves out like that, even on a really positive aspect. Never
Yeah.
mind the when we share our deep dark secrets and our journeys, but when we celebrate ourselves publicly like this, it's even scarier, because you don't want people to judge you or think that you're showing off or anything. But we've created such a great environment of women supporting women. We're like, own it, surprise, like it's just so contagious. I think what we've done, and what you continue to do every single day, Blaise, is amazing. You give women in our circle and in your network the ability to do that. So that's so beautiful.
Thank you. I think, well, definitely with Canadians, we're very humble. And we always want to be like, oh, yeah, I got that award. But, this person's really amazing. And we try and deflect. And I always relate it back to, how do you receive a compliment when someone says, hey, I love your outfit? And then women, you'll see this now when I mention this. Women, we say, oh, this whole thing, I've had it for 10 years. Or I got it on sale. Like we deflect the compliment. And I encourage everyone, when someone says you won the award, congratulations, be like, thank you. Don't be like, well, yeah, it's just, it's just a little thing, right? We try and be humble, but it's not. It's really the opposite. It's showing a mirror that we actually don't feel worthy of it. So be worthy of the compliment, be worthy of the award, be worthy of whatever good is happening, and own it. And just, we don't have to be cocky, but there is a middle ground there where you just own it and say, yeah, I did that. That's amazing. And I'm going to stand in that and say, cool, I did something really amazing and got noticed for it. That's awesome. And I'm going to really celebrate it, because let's face it, we have a lot of setbacks. We have a lot of things that send us in tears. Why not take the one thing that brings us joy and just step into it and let us feel it? And often we always we don't want the other shoe to drop, so I'm not going to feel it too much. Just feel it. Be a kid when they get presents. They're just overjoyed, and their innocence in the joy. It's not that they're cocky or overblown. They allow themselves to feel the joy. So I have encouraged myself to allow myself to do that. And then also to challenge myself to support the next woman beside me, because I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to not be supported. I know what it feels like to feel self-loathing. So I'm going to turn that and support and be lift you up, because when I support you, I get supported. And it's changed my world. So let's just, shift that of being competitive and self-loathing and critical. And I've totally 180'd it to lift myself up, lift my fellow woman up, and we are stronger together.
Awesome. And I love the support. And I'm going to chat a little bit now more on the other side of the support system.
Yeah.
Of course, you have a big support system in your world.
Mm-hmm.
And we've, in 2018, we launched Support Her to elevate the male champions that are, significant, that elevate women in their networks, workplaces, and communities. And so let's talk about your Support Her. Who is that champion in your world that is your partner to help you succeed in life and in
That
business?
is, yeah, that's my husband. Absolutely. Rob. We've been married almost 12 years, or we have been married 12 years. And, in a time, I met him in a time where I didn't love myself. And yet God knew I needed him to show me what love was. So I'm so grateful that I didn't see it in myself, but he stood by me and he injected unconditional love when I couldn't even accept it from him. He kept giving it to me, and he fanned my flame. because it's been quite a journey. I met him in 2005. We were radio broadcasters. I'm in a different career. And he just continually showed me unconditional love and showed me that I had worth. And I finally, when I shifted everything, I believed it. Right. And then he injected more because he saw the growth in me of giving me love and support and encouragement and the freedom to go pursue it and not try and pull me back. And he just fanned that flame. And it's been an incredible thing where I've seen him grow as a man because we're a team. And the more I find my purpose, he finds his too. And I encourage him. So it's very much a partnership. And it just blows me away with the support because he doesn't always get what I do, but he fully supports it.
Okay, that's the whole of the conversation, Blaise, is that the people that are in our inner circles, they
Yeah.
kind of don't see the magic that we do. They're like, my mom for years, I don't really get what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't see the seed that is planted underneath the dirt. I
Yeah.
always used to be like, oh, I'm like, love, 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 right? You know, it looks like I'm watering dirt and underneath bamboo, right? She didn't get that.
Yeah.
You know, so we could have a whole episode to talk about that, right?
Right.
But
yeah, what speaks to me, like he bought me my own sword, right? Like this is because I always encourage women to be the hero, draw your sword and breathe fire. My husband gave me the greatest birthday gift this summer when he got me a real sword. And I was just like, you get me. Like, you get me. I know you think it's funny that like I have a sword everywhere I go, but he still supports it. And that's meaningful. And that's a true testament of support her, right?
And I think also something really impressive was what he surprised you with when you won your Woman of Inspiration Award. And I know that you had, over this summer, you got news that you actually had to change your location from Medicine Hat, Alberta to Nanaimo, BC, which is, you know, you moved in and the same day you're already packed and you're ready to go. And I just am in awe. I love your passion and how like you're just go, 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 get it done. There's always, your glass is always half full, but you have a cheerleader here who sees and wants to celebrate with you. And what did he do to support and to surprise you with for your award? Share that with everyone.
Yes, he is. He's just my gift. So I didn't know he was doing this. Like I got the award. That's great enough. Like I don't need a thank you or like a congratulatory award on top of that. But he was like, hey, I got you something. Open your email. But you have to videotape yourself opening the email. I'm like, oh, okay. So I opened the email and it's this video. And like, if anyone knows me, I'm a huge Survivor show fan, the reality show Survivor. I competed in my own local charity Survivor. I won 5 years ago. So like I've never missed an episode in like 20 years, right? He got the queen of Survivor, Sandra, who's the only winner to ever have won twice, a woman warrior like Sandra, to videotape me a personalized message congratulating me on a Woman of Inspiration Award. And like, I was a puddle, I bawled, like, wow, like to do things like that, that just strengthens our relationship because he supports it. And then in turn, I just support him and give him love and respect right back. So it's very cyclical. And he's the reason we had to move. He lost his job in COVID, but he got another one in BC. And I said, we're a team, let's do this. Let's go. Like we go where jobs are. And so it's just a true testament of a great partnership and loving relationship when he does something like that. And he knows me, a sword and Sandra, like, God, that's the best thing in the world. Right?
And I love the fact that you were jumping right in with both feet. We're so happy to have you part of our Universal Women's Network, branching out into the BC market, and scaling and growing everything that we're doing in the network to raise the bar for women to be seen, heard, and valued from diverse industries, which is really unique for a network and a women's organization. We're entrepreneurs and we're thought leaders, we're business owners, we're there's truck drivers and there's pilots and there's scientists. We've got every single woman represented in the voices with our community. So I'm happy that you're in BC, because we're going to start our roadshow from BC. So we'll be out there visiting you, Blaise, for sure. But I just want to leave, sort of wrap up this amazing interview. And thank you so much for being so authentic and so transparent and sharing your personal journey, because it's every time. I mean, I got a little misty, and I know that you got misty. It's hard sharing it, right? Each time you have to relive it, you share it, right? But thank you for doing so, because I truly believe that helps somebody through the spot where they are right now, seeing another woman that's gone through the other side and that is stuck with it and has also got unstuck. But who is your woman of inspiration, Blaise?
My woman of inspiration, gosh, there's just so many, right? There's so many. Well, I have two, because my first one is my daughter, actually, because I see the evidence of me doing the work and seeing it grow from like a child. And so when I look at her, it's like the mirror. And I feel like, wow, she is my inspiration, because I'm putting it all into what she's going to be. So like to see her being kind and knowing her worth at 7 years old, that inspires me to keep doing it, right? So it's like this amazing, like to look at yourself as a 7-year-old, because she's me. And I get to like really change the bad things and help mold her into being a better version of me. And so like that inspires me, right? Like to keep pushing forward and being the role model and the hero for my child. So number one, my daughter inspires me every day with what she says and what she does. Like, you're 7, right? It's so amazing, right? And, just to every woman that has gone through the wall first and gotten bloody and martyred and stepped up, even though they were persecuted and mocked and fell down and died for their cause, that is my inspiration. So, it's really hard because so many women are warriors, right? But to say that and be like, yeah, I look to those women every day and be like, wow, those people in history that changed the culture, that showed something, that turned into their pain, that is my woman of inspiration. There's no face to that. It's actually an attitude.
And I'm loving that so much, because I find that they look so optics is that woman of inspiration, they're a different level of leadership, but when really they're women like you and me, and the women that are just working hard towards a better version of themselves, and have usually overcome a little bit of a challenge or have a big goal, but they're hardworking, they keep focused, they give back, they may not do it right all the time, and they're accepting of flaws, and they've fallen 100 times, but they get back up and they go. And so I love the fact that people listening, you're a woman of inspiration by having that commitment to get through what you're getting through, and staying focused and staying motivated and serving others along your journey when you're ready to. So I love that. I think it's really strong. This is what this podcast is all about. It's really just, when people see like great leaders, they're like, how did she get there? What did she do? And how can I follow in her footsteps? So thank you so much for shining the light on your journey and being so, giving in your wisdom. And I really look forward to the journey ahead for 2021 and beyond, having you part of our Mentor Her mentorship program, because of course, all of the women of inspiration, every single one is giving back to the community and helping other women rise. So I look forward to welcoming you to that program, and of course all these great things that we're going to be doing with the Universal Women's Network next year. And it has been such a joy to get to know you, and I look forward to opportunities how we can amplify that voice in BC and beyond.
Yeah, Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on and letting me share and just connecting. I think that's what this is all about, is reconnecting. We're in such a disconnected world. So like, be an inspiration by just connecting, having a conversation, making eye contact, putting down your phone and connecting with ourselves and with this world and being an inspiration, right? So you have such an amazing platform and I'm so excited to do more things with your network and just, yeah, Canada and beyond, right?
Canada and beyond, my dear, of course. And I love this sword. I can't believe it's a real sword, actually. Like it looks
Amazing.
heavy. It looks very heavy, Blaise.
It's not too bad. My husband got me like, so I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. So Arya had her sword needle. So it's a little bit more like a woman's sword, like it's tiny and sharp and fragile and like agile. And so my name for it is Deborah, because Deborah means bee, sting like a bee. So my name for my sword is Deborah. I sting with a bee with my sword and I breathe fire.
Amazing. And for those that are listening and watching, what an amazing Woman of Inspiration podcast with Blaise Hunter, our 2020 Woman of Inspiration Influencer Award recipient, of course. And so, Blaise, for the listeners here, how can they learn more about the work that you're doing and get in touch with you? Of course, in the show notes, we're going to include more about your bio, of course, but if they want to reach out for those listeners here today, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can go to my website, blaisehunter.com, Blaise Hunter, Blaise with an S. And I have Blaise the Trail podcast found on all the different platforms, but all the information is on my website. You can contact me. You can find out about footprints. If you've had a miscarriage, a stillbirth, or going through infertility, you can contact me there on my website. I can send you a footprint support bag anywhere you are in the world. And it's just a little gift from my pain and love to you to support healing and wholeness in this world for mental health. So yeah, head to my website, and I'm on all my social media handles are on there as well. And if you want to be a part of my Blaise the Trail podcast, also do the contact form there as well. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom and for your energy and your passion for raising up the bar for other women around the world. Blaise, and once again, congratulations on your award. I'm super excited to
Yeah,
see.
I have it here.
Bring it. Oh my God, that's beautiful. Oh,
Thank you.
oh.
I cherish it. Right?
Well,
Whenever we feel down, you go to the win and you say, I focus on the win today. I'm focusing on the win.
amazing. I love that you shared that with us. So the listeners, she just shared her great big crystal award from the Woman of Inspiration Awards this year. And that just brings me so much joy to see how much that actually is a daily reminder for, when you're getting through those challenges, because we go through them. It's like a roller coaster, right? Highs, lows, everything in between. But love your attitude. Thank you for your kindness and for your leadership. And I look forward to the journey ahead with you. Thanks,
Thank you
Blaise.
so much. I appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.